Hello everyone. This is a type of video we've never had to upload to this channel before, but the ATX Records team wants to address and explain something that affects the time trial game mode. The booster course pass ended over half a year ago, finalizing the game with one last content update. Throughout this DLC, Nintendo has made some big changes to the game, but some of these changes pushed the game's mechanics beyond a tipping point. When the Wave 5 update released, some characters and vehicles received stat buffs. On courses where these are optimal, any buff to them should give an advantage, but when players went to try them, they faced something completely unexpected. There was a strange slowdown bug, and it made some world records much harder to beat, if not outright unbeatable. Here's our explanation. The Accel bug makes vehicles decelerate more than intended when a boost ends. The amount of time you lose varies, depending on how big of a slowdown the bug causes, and your vehicle's ability to accelerate back to top speed. This means that vehicles with low acceleration suffer the most. In this example, we're racing the world record, which is unaffected by the Accel bug. The moment the boost ends, the Accel bug occurs, and our speed drops lower than intended. We remain at the lower speed until reaching the coins, at which point we've lost a significant amount. The Accel bug occurs if your boost ends while you're driving in a straight line, and it can occur after almost every form of boost in the game. Mushrooms, boost panels, half pipes, trick boosts, coin boosts, and all mini turbos. The Accel bug affects every vehicle combo in the game, even ones that never received the buff. In these examples, both the ghost and the player suffer from the Accel bug, but by doing an Accel nudge, you can reduce how much speed you lose. These nudge inputs are so situational and precise that getting a perfect one can't be done on command. And the perfect nudge is still slower than driving straight on previous versions of the game. The only other way to mitigate the Accel bug is by starting a new drift. If you initiate a new drift before the boost ends, the Accel bug becomes irrelevant, simply because drifting, by default, reduces your top speed. This is important to note, because it's usually ideal to start a new drift before the previous boost ends, and drifts reduce your speed more than the Accel bug does. However, a few courses, primarily in 200cc, have sections where players must drive straight, and this is where the Accel bug has become a real problem. Today, these three courses are heavily impacted by the Accel bug. The best vehicle combo on these courses is Wario, Sport Bike, Metal, and a Speed Glider. This has the lowest acceleration stat of any world record combo, which means the Accel bug is really costly. Throughout these courses, the Accel bug occurs multiple times, and these are our estimations of how much time you lose. These estimations assume perfect Accel nudges are executed. The margins might not seem like much, but at the highest level, this is the difference between what's feasible and what's impossible. Due to the inevitable slowdowns caused by the Accel bug, the Toast Turnpike world record has become physically impossible to beat, and beating the Paris Promenade record is impossible for a player to do. In the Wave 4 update, almost every character and vehicle in the game was buffed. The Wave 5 update introduced a few more buffs, as well as the Accel bug. Only the Wave 4 version has buffed vehicles and no Accel bug, and downgrading to it is currently not possible. The courses mentioned earlier all have world records driven during Wave 4, so they didn't get Accel bugged, and didn't need to perfectly nudge into every straight section. Performing Accel nudges is more of a hassle than you could imagine, and players are reluctant to play any course where they are necessary. Even with a perfect nudge, you still lose time against runs driven during Wave 4, so there's always a letdown. We recently announced that the fastest run driven after Wave 5 will count as the official world record on these courses. There's no purpose in having unattainable world records, so 1 year after the bug was introduced, the competition now continues with Accel bug in play. The world record progression has been the community's main issue, because of how illogical it feels to ignore the time at the top of the leaderboards. The fastest run on Toast Turnpike is a 111.977, driven during Wave 4, but the fastest run with Accel bug, and now world record, is a 112.051 on the current build of the game. On Paris Promenade, the fastest run is a 116.395, but the world record with Accel bug is a 116.534. This goes against all that the time trial game mode is about. The players who compete for world records want the fastest time in the world, And when that becomes impossible, getting anything slower doesn't feel like you've proven yourself. As dumb as it sounds, we have to ignore chronology for players to compete, and the top players we've asked don't feel motivated because the incentive to go for incredible runs is gone. London Loop is heavily impacted by Accel bug, but the player Messi managed to beat the old world record after putting in a lot of effort. Accel bug loses 0.17 on this course, so all these previous runs by Messi could have been world record if Accel bug didn't occur. This 517 is the equivalent of a 128.3 during wave 4, a time which would have beaten the record by a lot, but not until he drove a run of this caliber did he get the real number 1 spot. He himself says if the world record rules weren't changed, he most likely wouldn't be motivated to push this far, because on every straightaway he lost time without doing anything wrong. This unfair disadvantage demotivates most players. Whether your personal record is 0.1 behind or 0.5 behind the record, competing against any run from wave 4 isn't a fair fight. Every run you drive would have been faster if done during wave 4, so even if you reach your goal, it's disappointing that you're being swindled out of a better run. The 111 on Toast Turnpike is impossible to beat, so getting a 0.0 using Accel nudges doesn't feel fulfilling, even though it's just as hard. The same goes for Paris Promenade. We wish breakthroughs like London Loop could happen on these courses, but it sadly just can't be done. These courses are very inactive as a result. There are some other implications of the Accel bug that should be noted. The Accel bug still affects other courses, but not to a detrimental degree. There are many courses where you lose a minuscule amount to Accel bug, but in these cases, players must accept the slight disadvantage. Courses released in Wave 5 and 6 have only been available on game versions containing the Accel bug. This means that if Nintendo patches the bug, Rosalina's Ice World and Moonview Highway will become surprisingly much easier to improve on. An Accel bug patch would make some courses noticeably faster, like Moo Moo Meadows, Toad Harbor, Toad Circuit, and most of all, the 3 courses this video is about. We at ATX Records contacted Nintendo support, providing them with a video showcasing the bug, but it's unlikely that it ever reached the game development department. The Accel nudges merely reduce the damage, and Nintendo needs to intervene for the fastest records to become beatable again. The easiest and best solution would be a software menu option that lets users downgrade to the Wave 4 version of the game. This way we get the option to play time trials unaffected by the bug, and later update the game to play the final 2 waves, and to upload ghosts. This would fix the issue without impacting how the game feels for the vast majority of the player base, and it would give time trial players the best of both worlds. Alternatively, Nintendo could patch out the bug from the current game version. However, that's easier said than done, as the Accel bug is almost certainly a side effect of the way kart deceleration is programmed. The bug affects every vehicle combination in the game, even the ones that never got buffed. This likely means the underlying mechanics for acceleration and deceleration are flawed. If so, patching the Accel bug would certainly have some negative effects that we don't necessarily know about. In Mario Kart 7, there is a bug known as Mystery Boost, which is a random speed boost that occurs if you do a very quick and precise joystick nudge at the end of a boost. Mystery boosts seem to be the exact same as Accel nudges, except that in Mario Kart 7, what we call Accel bug has been present ever since the game launched. While there is no way for us to confirm it, we think it's likely that the physics Nintendo brought over to Mario Kart 8 are starting to malfunction visibly, because many of the vehicle parts have received a higher mini-turbo stat than they were designed to have. In its current state, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is ever so slightly tainted by the Accel bug, because it's present in every online match, and occasionally becomes the deciding difference in a race. For time trials, the Accel bug's consequences are unprecedented, and it's almost historic that Nintendo accidentally made Mario Kart world records unbeatable. The bug is most likely an honest mistake from the developers, because it's only noticeable if you're close to a ghost in time trials while driving in a straight line, while using low acceleration vehicles. Nintendo might not see it worth to fix a bug that only a few experience the consequence of, especially if a fix would make the game feel worse for the vast majority of players. In the past, Nintendo reverted the change they made to pipe collisions, a change that made the Mario Kart Stadium motion glider near impossible to perform multiple times. This bug fix was a relief back then, so we hope this video reaches an employee involved with the game. so that the Accel bug doesn't haunt these courses forever. There are also a few other bugs left in the game that are fitting to include in this video. There's a universal bug with drifting animations, but only in one direction. The front tires don't rotate fully towards the side you're drifting in, and the character doesn't turn their torso as much as before. This bug usually vanishes by the end of a race, because it gets corrected upon certain events, such as when the car touches off-road, a wall, or sometimes an air pocket. This bug is purely a visual one, and all vehicles handle the same as before. It's pretty subtle and hard to spot when using small tires, but in this example it's evident. This bug occurs both in regular gameplay and in ghost replays, and it was introduced in Wave 5, along with the Accel bug. On N64 Rainbow Road, the toads throw coins onto the track, but some of these get destroyed the moment they're spawned, so they no longer drop. 3 coins are missing on this course. This bug was introduced in Wave 3, likely caused by the implementation of the Merry Mountain train. We hope this video clarified what the Accel bug is. We had to shed light on the inconvenient situation it has caused. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a game we cherish, and this collaborative channel has been kept up to date for years, so that people can witness the fastest runs in the game. From the whole time trial community, we really hope you at Nintendo can fix these bugs. Thank you for your attention.